brother properties here. The story.
Now it's 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Val, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Snow,
Here.
Commissioner Curry, Commissioner Delanoy,
Here.
Commissioner Johnson,
Here.
Mayor Penny.
Here. At this time, if you'd silence any electronic devices, turn them to vibrate, or preferably turn them off. If everyone would please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Dear gracious God, we thank you for the many gifts you bestowed upon us all. We ask that you provide comfort and healing to those in need. We ask that you guide and direct our meeting so it's full of wisdom, productivity, and respect for one another. We ask that you keep our teammates safe as they do their jobs. God, please bless this meeting, this city, and our great country. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Joe, Scott's not coming, right?
No, he won't be here.
So we're going to move to item 2, which is our budget item, which is the public hearing, which is Resolution 2025-R-52. You have to read the entire thing, Joe?
Okay, I have to read this resolution in its entirety. A resolution of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, adopting a proposed millage rate for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2025, providing for a public hearing on millage rate, providing for conflicting resolutions, and providing an effective date. Whereas the City Commission of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, is required by Florida Statute 200.011 to certify to the county property appraiser the general municipal millage rate proposed by said commission for the tax year beginning October 1, 2025. And whereas the City Commission of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, pursuant to the Trim Bill, shall hold a public hearing adopting the proposed millage rate. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Commission of the City of Holly Hill, Florida. Section 1, the millage rate proposed by the City Commission of the City of Holly Hill, Florida for the tax year beginning October 1, 2025 is 5.8 or 5.8 per 1,000. The fiscal year 2025 operating millage rate is 5.8 mils, which is greater than the rollback rate of 5.4981 mils by 5.49%. Section 2, that the City Commission does hereby set a public hearing on the millage rate for 6 p.m. on Monday, September 8th, 2025, in the Commission Chambers at 1065 Ridgewood Avenue in Holly Hill, Florida. That all resolutions made in conflict with this resolution are hereby repealed. Section 4, that this resolution shall become effective immediately upon its adoption, if approved this evening and authenticated on this 22nd day of July, 2025.
Thank you. Any questions for Joe?
No.
Anyone from the audience like to discuss this issue? Seeing none, we'll close public participation. Entertain a motion for approval.
Second.
Joe, they need to restate 5.8, or since it's in the resolution, it's fine?
You're adopting the resolution.
Okay.
That's it. It's contained.
So I have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion needed? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carries 4-0. Now we'll move to public comments. This is the time for the audience to address the commission on anything not on a regular agenda. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the commission? Mr. Wabi's first. You think you would sit closer to Gary, but you know, he's way in the back.
Thank you for this time.
Got to say your name.
Yep, Bill Wabi, 326 15th Street. I have other properties in Holly Hill, businesses in Holly Hill also. I'm coming to talk to you guys today about the grants. Mr. Walker was gracious to schedule a meeting with me today about the city grants. My family has used these grants. I've used several other grants to beautify our great city and our properties that we have in this great city. And it just seems over the years it's been more and more difficult to come up to get the qualifications that are needed to get the grants. Now, our property 518 Ridgewood Ave, the old Holly Hill Diner, we were able to paint that with the city grant a couple of years ago. Thank you. And now, to get another painting grant, the city wants a grant that wants the paper to say all the bids to be just for painting the front of the building. I got windows at my house, and they only wanted to pay for what you can see on the front of the street. Mr. Forte, I know you're a firefighter. When you come up to a fire, the first front of the house is A side, and then the left side is B, C, D. As you drive down the street, you're a insurance man. If someone crashes into the front of your house, the insurance is going to pay for what you can see from the road as you drive by. I think that the grants should be allowable to help with things that we can see as the car drives by. If we really are trying to beautify our city, then let's not just put, a front facade on. Let's have, everything that can be seen from the street. What's the point of getting your house painted but only getting one front side of your house painted? Then you have the two sides. It's not going to match. It's not going to look right. I know it's difficult getting a lot of the things to have the same materials, and there's a lot of issues. I'm running out of time here. But staff has been great walking through this. But the other thing that they're saying is that the public is going to ask about it. We want to know where this money is going, and that it was given out fairly. And I agree with that, and I understand that. But when you're the city and you're saying, hey, how much does it cost to put in a light post or a park bench? That's why it costs so much. And all the little guys that are, hey, I'm going to paint your house, they don't want to jump through all these hoops. And so people say, it's not worth it to get this grant. I'll just let the house look a little shabby until it needs it. Thank you for your time. I'm out of time.
Thank you. Jim?
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right. Jim the guy, 342 Burley. I had a question for Scott. He's not here.
Not here tonight.
Is he coming?
No.
Well, let me burden you with it.
I'll defer to our legal counsel, sir.
In the labor, was it the firefighters labor thing? It says it is ordained by the city of Holly Hill. Now, I thought you had to be God certified to get that. And then I'm reading in Harper's, 62% of the citizens will take the word of their local preacher over the government. I thought that interesting. So I guess maybe we were bumping our power up with, It's in the Harper's Index, Deborah. So I'm reading the budget, $1 trillion. Wow, that's amazing.
Not the city of Holly Hill's budget.
I thought to see, what's $1 trillion?
I don't know. I don't have it.
I got 0.0444 million, 1044 million, I thought,
Where are you seeing that?
in the budget. I labored over the whole bloody thing. All right, well, at any rate, so everybody in the city is making, that works for the city makes more money than the average citizen in Holly Hill, which is, all right. And I was wondering, in keeping with the budget, is there, I know in some communities there are little enterprise things where someone can come and pitch a, like Shark Tank or that sort of thing for very low maybe a sewing machine or, something like that. I was wondering if we could introduce something like that in the CRA. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'm concerned about the budget comment. I want to make sure we don't have a typo somewhere.
I'm telling you what I thought I read,
I just want to find it and make sure that there's not a mistake somewhere. Yeah.
Anyone else from the audience like to address the commission?
You see what I said, there's 1 0.
Procedurally, I can't let you come back, Phil.
It's a different topic.
I can't let you come back. Your time is up. I'm sorry. You can get me after the meeting. Anyone else from the audience like to discuss anything not on a regular agenda? Seeing none, we'll close public comments. Just like to address the grants. I've just recently applied at my office complex for a CRA grant. It's a little cumbersome. It's a little complex. But if the government's going to pay 50% of my improvements, I think it's worth doing a lot of paperwork. The biggest challenge that I found was that contractors don't want to come out for a little job. Whether it's landscaping or painting or signs. I started my grant process in November of last year and just completed it. Not due to the city's obstacles, but due to getting qualified contractors to show up and actually give me a bid. People were scared with tariffs. They wouldn't quote the sign. They'd give me a 7-day price guarantee and these kind of things, and it just was crazy. But I'm sure there's some improvements to the process. But if someone's going to pay 50% of the grant, I would stand in line and fill out that paperwork all day long. Mr. Laguerre, you talked about enterprise zones, I think, maybe. Historically, I think the city of Holly Hill has been an enterprise zone for Daytona Beach and Port Orange and Deltona. Our real estate and our rents have been historically low compared to other areas in Volusia County. So we have all those little places pop up in the Quonset huts on State or Carswell, and then they grow. One of the biggest success stories, I think, is Matt Schwerlman. That he has an amazing CBD company that started in our city, and we're fighting to have places for him to continue to grow. What's he got, 5 locations now, Joe? Something like that?
He's got a lot of...
He's got hundreds of thousands of square feet in our city, and he started here. So I hear what you're saying, but I think our real estate's affordable. So I don't know if anyone else wants to comment on the 2 things that came up before us this evening. So we'll move to approval of the minutes of the meeting of July 8th, 2025 budget workshop and July 8th, 2025 regular city commission meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion needed amongst the commission? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? It carries 4-1. Now we'll move to consent agenda. The action proposed is stated for each item on the consent agenda. Unless the city commissioner removes an item from the consent agenda, no discussion on individual items will occur, and a single motion will approve all items. I would like to pull item 1, which is resolution 2025-R-53, for discussion and explanation to the public. Is there anyone from the public that would like to pull one of the other items from the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, removing item 1, unless a commissioner would like to remove anything else.
Motion to approve.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries unanimously. Joe, would you like to address 2025-R-53, please?
I have to read the resolution and then...
Yeah.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, authorizing the city manager to enter into agreements with Volusia County for the acceptance of properties acquired through the Housing and Urban Development HUD Community Disaster Block Disaster Recovery CBDG DR funded single-family home repair and replacement program and homeowner recovery program buyout pathway, providing for severability and providing for an effective date. Me?
Yeah, you want to explain what?
Val, can you pull that up? So the CDBG DR Transform 386 program, this is what several people have kind of been waiting for. So there's two options. One is the buyout program and the other is an acquisition program. They're both very similar in nature. And what this ordinance is saying is that if any of our residents want to participate in this program, this resolution is saying that the city will take ownership of the property. So in one scenario, Val, if you go down to where it has the two circles, right there. So in one scenario, when you do a buyout, this is an opportunity for a willing seller, a property owner who has suffered damage, and there's criteria, and this is just brief. They have to be within the low to moderate income standard, the type of structure, the ownership, the residency requirements. If they qualify for it, they can sell their individual home to the county with a price that's based on a pre-storm fair market value, which I think is 2 years prior to the storm. And in that case, that may be a single-family home that the county that the Transform 386 money would pay for. And my understanding is the county would then pay, Transform 386 would pay 75%, and the county would pay 25%, and then they would deed the property, quitclaim deed the property over to the city, and the city would maintain that property as a vacant piece of land, never to be built on again. The property acquisition portion of this is where multiple homes would be acquired through the same process, and that property would be large enough to then construct a stormwater retention pond on. Now, constructing a retention pond wouldn't get done in the next year or two. It would have to be engineered, it would have to serve a purpose of holding stormwater. We'd have to find money to do it. Hopefully, there'd be other grants available. But the purpose of this resolution is just to say that we agree that we would take possession of property if any of the residents fell into either one of these two categories.
Any questions for Joe?
Steve, is that close enough? Okay. Steve actually went to the meeting for this.
No questions. I just think that we are hoping that this is something that, okay, we were hoping.
Is there a square footage on the amount of properties that have to be built,
No.
bought up, or? I mean,
No.
You couldn't put a retention on one lot if a house.
Well,
was
the
bought.
pond, again, the pond has to be engineered,
Yeah.
and, you can't put a small little pond on a single-family lot if it's not going to hold water. So whatever it is, if the city takes possession of the land, we would get with the engineers to find out if it can be used for any kind of retention area. And if so, we'll head down that path, and if not, then we just need to maintain it as I don't want to call it a park, but as an open space, never to be built on again. So there is a meeting, I had Val posted as well, there's a meeting that's coming up, I think they're calling it hot dogs and something, where the community can learn more about this and get a free hot dog from the county for sitting through this presentation that they're going to have.
When is that meeting? You know. Okay.
Yeah, it's at the Dickerson Center in Daytona Beach. I don't remember the day or time. I think, for some reason, August 24th is sticking in my head, but I'm not. Go ahead, Steve.
Steve Youngs, Deputy Director of Public Works. The meeting, the Grill and Get the Facts community event is Thursday, July 24th,
July 24th.
5:30 to 7 o'clock at the Dickerson Center. Then there's a couple of other free legal workshops that are coming up as well. Just something that I wanted to make sure everybody's aware of too, as far as property owners are concerned. The grants This opportunity is anticipated to open at the end of July. There's $20 million, which seems like a lot of money, but it's not. So if you're interested, I would definitely recommend applying as soon as you can.
Is that 20 million per county, or is that state,
For our county.
It's $20 million countywide.
countywide?
Thank you. Anyone from the audience like to comment on this? Yes, sir.
Jim, the guy at 342 Burley, are we gonna have someone available to help folks through this process?
That's what that meeting is that Steve just mentioned on July 24th at the Dickerson Center. Because it's a county-run program, so if people go there, they'll learn more about it. And then as people go through the process, there'll be representatives from the county to get them through.
But nobody from the city.
No, it's not our program.
We will do the best we can to help people, but it's a county program.
Right. And they're very helpful.
Anyone else like to comment on this item?
Danielle Latona, Holly Hill. I just want to update a little bit on this. Thank you, Steve, for doing that. I already went through this program and was denied. They had a meeting across the street last year, their first meeting, and that was for Hurricane Ian. If you're in a duplex, you don't qualify unless both sides apply at the same time. It is income restricted, which is, it was pretty reasonable. It wasn't really that bad. Also, in my situation, I just actually was on the phone with the supervisor 2 days ago. I got denied because they included, this was for Ian, not for, Milton isn't open yet. You can't apply for Milton yet, but this was for Ian, which is now closed. So when I applied for Ian, and I put in all the information they requested, which I'm just gonna tell you is a lot. It's taxes, it's everything from your insurance company, it's your assessments from the insurance company. So people will need assistance, and I will volunteer to help people do it, even though I was denied, because I already went through the process, and there are a lot of steps. I was denied, and as we know, government-run programs really run efficiently. Based on, they included Milton's damage, which my Milton repairs aren't complete yet. So I can't show that I've used the funds that I received from my insurance company when I still don't have a roof, an AC, and a kitchen. Finding contractors is not easy. So even though it shouldn't have been included, it was included. The funds, both funds were pulled together. So I was told to reapply for Milton and see if that'll help, and I chose to opt out of it because it's just too time-consuming and frustrating. And I'm gonna be in the same position because with duplexes, I know my time is running out, but this is important. They base the value of the home, your damage had to be more than 50% of the value of your home in order to qualify. There's windows and doors, there's wind mitigation, but for repairs, your damage had to be more than 50% of the value of your home, which they included the duplex on the other side as the value of my home, which isn't the value of my home because we have separate parcels. When I sell my property, I don't get to sell his property, I don't pay his taxes, he doesn't pay my taxes. But again, it's a government-run program, so.
Okay.
I mean, it might help people in real single-family homes that
Right.
aren't duplexes, because some people didn't reach 50%, and it has to include both sides for the 50%. So, and the other program, the Elevate, I was denied for. I would have put up the funds, but I was denied. So, just if anybody needs help, I will help.
Yeah, and just for the record, this is Hurricane Milton,
Now,
this
Yeah,
one.
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure that's clear.
Thank you for the information.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to comment? Seeing none, we will close public comments and entertain a motion for approval.
Motion for approval.
Any discussion needed? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 4-0. Now we'll move to our regular agenda item, which is a request for lien reduction for 802 Grove Avenue.
Okay, so the city received a formal request to reduce the code enforcement lien on the property located at 802 Grove Avenue. The property has been owned by Ryan Magnano since 2018. The code violations for this property went to the special master on October 14th, 2021, where the special master identified several code violations. The conclusions of law state that the respondent and owner of the property located at 802 Grove Avenue is in violation of the Holly Hill zoning ordinance IPMC 304.2, IPMC 304.12, IPMC 111.6, IPMC 111.1.1, IPMC 111.1.3, IPMC 111.1.5, IPMC 304.1, IPMC 304.7, IPMC 305.2, and IPMC 305.3. In going through my typical evaluation of a request like this, I put in your agenda packet two options. Because the fees on this property have accumulated so high, really beyond the value of the property itself, and whatever conditions were involved between Mr. Magnano and the special master, what I would typically be recommending to the commission is a lien reduction at the 10% of the original lien payoff to be $52,688. That being somewhat high in my opinion, I applied a 5% lien reduction to a total of $27,488. I did speak with Mr. Magnano, which I believe is here. I've never met him in person. I've only spoke with him on the telephone. And he may have some comments for you, but I kind of left the option to the commission of, because it's somewhat higher than any other residential property that we've ever done a lien reduction on, I had recommended a 5% payoff of the lien.
And Joe, maybe Brian can answer this. Those ICM blah, 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 what is all that? I mean, I know they're codes, but what is it? Tall grass?
No, I didn't want to read all of that. It's protective treatment, it's handrails and guardrails, it's transfer of ownership, it's unsafe structures, it's structures unfit for human occupancy, it's dangerous structures, exterior maintenance, roofs and drainage, structural members, and interior surfaces.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Joe at this time?
Yeah, at this point, they've all been corrected.
The property is in compliance now, yes.
Okay, and this property is now a
It's actually,
two-spot rental property.
it's a triplex, which is one of the problems. So he lives in, we'll call it Unit A, and then he leases out Units B and C.
Okay, and they're ready to go at this point.
I believe they are occupied.
Okay. Oh, they're already occupied.
I'll bring you up in a
They're not
second.
occupied?
I'll bring you up in a second.
Okay.
Okay,
But yeah, everything is in compliance as of today.
all right.
Any other questions for Joe at this time? Guess go ahead and bring the applicant up if you'd like to come forward, state your name and the city you live in.
Thank you for hearing my request. My name is Ryan Magnano. I live in Holly Hill. I'm the owner of 802 Grove Avenue. I'm here to humbly seek a further reduction. I appreciate the city manager's recommendation of a reduction of 5%. However, even that leaves roughly $27,000, which is equal to over 2,700% of the city's administrative costs, and would cause significant further hardship. I purchased this property from my landlord at the time with the intention of living in it and continuing to invest in Holly Hill. Purchasing this property seemed like my only way to achieve my dream of home ownership at the time. As I earned money from my job, I progressively invested it in the property. I didn't realize how, at the time how difficult purchasing this property would make things in the future. Things became especially complicated in early 2021 before I received any violations. When I first asked about pulling a permit to replace the Unit C deck around February 2021, the chief building official stated the property wasn't zoned correctly, despite having BTRs for 2 rental units at the time. I followed instructions and submitted a zoning verification request. The community development director responded to this and clarified that zoning was not the issue and that the use was known since, I think, around the 1960s. I did retain a contractor to start drawing plans for the deck, which was the main source of the violations. I think 5 out of 7 or so of the violations were related to the deck. But I did retain a contractor to start drawing plans for the deck back in February, several months before I received any violations. Unfortunately, it took a while to get a licensed engineer and a draftsman, and I had a lot of delays and issues with that contractor. In the end, I was cited for the very deck work I tried to permit, and compliance became dependent on modifying units A and B with fire separations, even though violations weren't issued for A or B, or for fire separations. I did my best to comply, regardless of the shifting scope and challenges. Despite this, I was fined at $500 per day for the entire course of those several years that it took to completely retrofit the property with fire separations, which took a lot more than just taking down drywall and putting up tight decks. There were 2 kitchens and 2 bathrooms that had to be demolished and reconstructed as part of this. Most of the repairs relating to the violations were resolved in early 2022. However, it was the installation of fire separations between units, I guess other small issues, like the deck. I don't think my contractor had put a handrail, or he put a handrail, but he put a wood handrail as opposed to a metal handrail. And so that wasn't brought up to my attention until, I want to say 2023, and that's when we got that resolved. We replaced the handrail. But regardless, all these violations stayed open until the final inspection for the fire separations and the rough plumbing going through the fire separations.
When did you come into compliance?
The final compliance date was 10/22/24. But a lot of these, almost all of what I was cited for was, for the most part, resolved much sooner. A lot of these are like 2022. The roof flashing, I believe, was resolved shortly after I received the violations. There was some confusion between myself and the city as far as requesting inspections for a lot of this. The roof was later replaced entirely under a separate permit prior to the closing of these violations. Shortly after receiving the violations, my sister unexpectedly passed away, and I began experiencing seizures and other significant health issues. Around the same time, I lost my job and had to take traveling positions with extensive overtime before the repairs. Throughout the project, there were significant issues and delays. Involving contractors and subcontractors. I had a lot of trouble finding honest contractors during the COVID construction boom, and this was what caused everything to take so long. I never wanted any of this to take so long. The pirate separations were not something we were prepared to do all of a sudden. And it really took a lot lot to get the fire separations installed. I tried to do everything that I could to keep my contractors according to the timeline, but it didn't happen.
And did you state your case as you're stating to us to the special master before they imposed $500 a day fine?
I did not, and that was something I actually met with Brian Walker and other members of the city yesterday, which I really appreciated. And that was something I was going to ask. I was going to ask if this lien could be reduced further, and if not, I would ask that it be referred back to the special magistrate for a full review, and that this request be deferred to a later meeting.
My experience attending special masters hearings is that the applicant comes and states their case. Special master, everyone agrees that you're in non-compliance. The special master would say, how long is it going to take you to come into compliance? 60 days. Usually they'll give you 90 if you ask for 60. And then if you don't hit that goal, that's when the fines occur. Was that typical what happened with you?
What happened is, right after I received the violations, I didn't see the violation right away. And so as soon as I saw the violation, I reached out to the city. They kind of told me an idea what the violations were. And I mean, it was a lot. There was no way to resolve put in fire separations. We didn't even get it permitted before the special magistrate meeting, but there was a special magistrate meeting. I did go because the violations for the fire separations weren't on the NOV. I did not say much at the meeting. I thought, the fire separations are listed. This is what the city wants now, and everything that I had a violation for, a majority of those violations were relating to the deck. So I thought to myself, okay, no problem, we'll resolve the roof flashing, we'll replace the deck, we're staying the deck. And so when I went to the special magistrate, I didn't really say a whole lot. I said, okay, I'll fix everything. And then there was some confusion in, I believe the date that they gave me was until it was January 2nd or so of 2022. There was some confusion where I reached out to my contractor on the 28th. I have those messages included in my packet. I have additional messages from my contractor to show I've been trying to resolve this date since February of 2021. Well before I received the violations in around October 2021. But it did take some time to get the plans drawn up and stamped by an engineer. I was told by my contractor on December 28th that those plans and the permit application were submitted to the city, which was what was required to stay according to the timeline. I received a message from Kyle Haynes, I believe in the second week of January, basically saying that the plans weren't submitted, or the plans were submitted, but the permit application was incomplete. And to have my contractor, I believe, meet with him, I reached out to my contractor and asked him to do that. And I mean, I bug him almost every day.
So from 10/21, when you met the special master, how long did it take you to come into compliance with everything except the room separations?
I would say a majority of the violations were resolved in early to mid 2020, before mid 2022.
So by June of 2022? Would that be fair?
For the most part, yes.
So we've got October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, 7 months, right?
I do have the list of violations. It's in
I'm a numbers guy, so if you take 7 months times 30 days, that's easy math, right? It's 210 days times $500 a day. That's $105,000. And those were the minor things. So that in itself is $105,000. Staff typically gives 10%. We're at 50, what's the 10% number, Joe? I don't have it in front of me.
Let me pull it up again real quick. The 10% number was 52,688.
So 52,000. And then staff has recommended 5%, which this commission has to make a decision what we're going to reduce it to, if we reduce it at all. But basically, 10% is our standard. And 10% is a 90% reduction in your fine. And I'm typically more understanding and more accommodating to reduce a lien when it's not self-imposed. If you were selling your home to another party and they had to get this off the record to make this real estate transaction, I'm all in favor of that. Let's get into compliance. It sounds like you've had some exceptional things happen in your life, but it also sounds like if someone's fining me $500 a day, I'd go borrow the money to do it rather than spend $15,000 a month in fines.
And it's not even just about money. I did have to borrow money to complete this renovation. I made any payments to my contractor when they requested, but ultimately I was strung along by my contractors throughout the process. I did switch contractors from Stephen Van Erdem to Dennis O'Neill right around mid-2022. I had a lot of problems with the first contractor. It had to be corrected, it had to be resolved, and it added a lot of additional costs. I probably spent I definitely spent well over $100,000 to achieve compliance.
Right.
We replaced the roof during the middle of this. I'd already had the roof replaced several years earlier, but we had issues with the roof. We needed to replace the roof again. I feel I did everything that I could in good faith, and I don't know how to explain the hardships that I had.
Right.
I lost my job during the middle of this. I had to take a traveling position, and it really made things difficult. It made it really difficult to properly supervise my contractors like I would like to. And yeah, when there was discussion
Right.
on
No, it sounds like you've had a perfect storm of unfortunate events. But I guess let's get to the bottom line. What's your ask? What is your ask of this commission?
My request was that it would be reduced to consider reduction to administrative costs plus 2% of the lien amount, or lower if appropriate, or that it would be referred back to the special magistrate for a full review, or even 2.5%. Anyone close to that. This is ultimately going to be the difference in being able to keep my home that I've worked so hard on.
Okay, thank you. It sounds like it sounds like it's a major life safety issue with those wall separations. Were people living in the apartment, the rental units during this time?
In C and B, and I discussed this a little bit with the CDO because I was confused. I had an inspection of my property when I purchased the property, nothing about fire separations. I'm somewhat familiar with code. I see in chapter 11 there is the existing buildings.
No, my question was, were the people living in the home during construction?
No, everyone moved out in, the tenant in C moved out in, I don't have the date in front of me. I want to say it was November. the month before November
Of what year?
2021. So.
And when did they return?
Nobody is living in B or C right now. I'm still working on just final trim work, making everything look good, clean. Like I said, we had to completely replace the kitchens and bathrooms for the entire for 2 kitchens and 2 bathrooms in order to put these fire separations. So there was a lot other than just fire
Okay.
separations.
Thank you. Any commissioners have any questions for the applicant?
Are you living there now? You do? I know the property. Are you living in A, the front one?
That is my unit. I have friends there that are essentially watching the property for me whenever I'm out of town. Currently, I'm staying more in C.
Yeah, I watched that when that was all going on. Yeah, it was a struggle. Yeah, I had to come to the property a couple times. I worked for the city at the time. I had to come to the property a few times for water issues. Yeah, I remember when you had to tear down the deck that the first contractor built. I remember you had to, yeah, because it wasn't right.
And
I have complete compassion for your situation, I surely do.
this was my first property. I don't come from money. My dream was to get into real estate investing and purchase my first property. It's no longer my dream. I just want to keep my home, move on.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions?
How long have you been able, how long since 2020 or 2021 have you had revenue from this property? How much of this time have you had revenue?
I never put new tenants in it after the violations were received, so I had the tenants in C until, going off memory, until just before November of 2021. So they moved out really a couple months after. Actually, I think they moved out before the special magistrate meeting, if I recall correctly. And then the tenant in B, I think he finished his lease in very early 2022. And so as soon as he moved out, that's when we were able to start the fire separations in B and A. Until then, work was being done in C, and the deck was replaced.
And do you have tenants there now?
No, there's no tenants there now. I didn't receive any revenue throughout the renovation. I didn't benefit in any way from any of the delays. I was traveling for work during this time, working in, remote positions where, not remote, out of town where they're paying for my housing and stuff at the time, because that was the only way I'd be able to afford these renovations. And I would just sit and stress and figure out, like, what is my contractor doing? What can I do? Should I switch contractors? If I switch contractors, then I'm gonna have to apply for a whole nother permit. It really wasn't very.
And during all that time, you never had a general contractor to handle that part of it?
Well, that was the general contractor. Stephen Van Erden was the general contractor.
Okay.
That was originally
Right.
I spoke with him back in February of 2021. I have all my texts with him. I'll have to
No,
provide
that's
them.
okay. Those were the answers I needed.
But really, we started on the plans for the deck in February of 2021. We plan to submit a permit application for the deck. Really, I had hoped it would be submitted well before there was even any idea of receiving the violations. But unfortunately, there were just
Okay.
a lot of delays. And then once the fire separations, once it was decided that the fire separations would be added to this, we had to add all that to the plan, so that added a big delay. And that's why it took until December to submit everything to the city. And I'll be honest, there was a lot of confusion like I said, my contractor told, my general contractor, Stephen Van Aaron, he told me that everything was submitted at the end of December. And then the city told me everything wasn't properly submitted. They received, I believe, a copy of the digital plans, but they didn't receive the physical copy of the plans or the full permit application. And so they hit me with retroactive fines. I think it came out to be like 48,000 because there was an extension. And when I saw that, I mean, my mental health kind of just fell apart. My sister just passed away in October, and I mean, my mental health completely fell apart. I started having seizures. It became very hard to effectively communicate with anybody, with contractors, with the city, even really with my own family.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else have any further questions for the applicant?
What's the minute, oh, no, up there. I got a
Okay.
question for you.
Yeah, take a seat. We might have some more questions for you in just a few moments.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Have questions for staff?
Yeah. What's the administration cost for this? Just administration alone?
Well, there's, administration consists of several things. It consists of the special master fee, the recording fees, the code enforcement staff time, the finance staff time, the development director staff time, the cost to release the fee, and then there's the BTR for units B and C, which he did pay for. So just to give you the number that Mr. Magnano is talking about, it would be approximately $14,000 to do a 2.5% reduction that he's requested. I know, Mayor, you were on your calculator as well, but I deducted the units B and C BTRs over almost $1,300 from that, and it comes out to just about $14,000.
So that's what the city has invested?
No, that's the total request that Mr. Magnano is now requesting. Those fees are, 7, 8, 9, it's less than $1,000.
So the city's investment is about $1,000 for what we've had to do in order for this?
Thereabouts, yes.
And I don't have my calculator out. The total lien is what?
The actual lien is $504,000.
Okay. Make a motion? Can I make a
You
motion?
can't yet. Sorry. We have to hear from the public.
Oh, of course we did.
So I just want to also just reiterate something that Mr. Magnano has said, is he's requesting either a reduction from the commission or the opportunity to go back to the special master for consideration. If the commission makes a decision this evening, he cannot go back to the special master. If the commission doesn't make a decision this evening, he can go back to the special master, but then he's at risk of what that special master is going to do. And as I've mentioned to Mr. Magnano, the special master that we have today is not the same one that was in place when this case went before Judge Pulliam. And in my opinion, it would be very difficult for a judge today to overrule or overturn a decision of a previous judge's consideration at that time. So there's risk involved there as well.
Any further questions for Joe or staff at this time? Anyone from the public like to talk about this?
Bill Wabi, Holly Hill resident. I don't know this guy from Adam, but at least he can put shoes on, unlike some of us to show up to our meetings.
Leave Jim out of this.
I got shoes on. What are you talking?
I understand the plight that he's been through. Not everybody in this city is as easy to come and talk to as Mr. Forte and Mr. Walker, that make things easier and help streamline things. Not all departments in the city are easy to talk to and deal with. Some departments seem to take pride in making things more difficult to deal with. And I understand, not these guys alleviate that. And I understand what it is to work with contractors and be, strung along for a long time and I'd like to step up and ask to, just do administrative costs for this guy. I understand that the city's been put out a lot because of this, and, this is a chance, you guys talk about having slumlords in the city, and this is a chance to, say, hey, don't be a slumlord, let's educate him and learn how to be a good landlord. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else from the audience like to comment?
Father Stephen Imperato, first time at one of your meetings. I live on 14th Street, Holly Hill. I concur if this young man is willing to cover administration costs, doesn't cost the township anything. I believe in mercy, and again, it's good business. All right, it's good business for the town, and I'm agreeing that administrative costs, I think, is fair resolution to this. We don't lose anything.
Thank you. Anyone else like to comment? Seeing none, we'll close audience participation. And I think you were going to make some kind of motion?
Yeah, I definitely make a motion for it to be the 5%.
Okay.
I'd like to make one more comment before we go into a decision.
We can't make it until there's a second on that motion or that motion dies.
Okay.
Someone want to make a second on that motion?
Okay.
That motion dies for lack of a second. Would someone else like to make a motion? If no one makes a motion and we take no action today, the fine stays at the $504,000.
I'll make a motion
What's your motion stated?
that we reduce his liens and, I don't know how to put this. This is my first time making a motion.
No, just figure out how much you want them to pay, and just figure
Pay
that out.
administration fees. I think that every now and then you have a situation that comes around. Can't do this every time. Not everybody deserves it. Sometimes I get emotional when something like this is affecting me. This man is surely pleading for a situation in his life that he cannot pay for. And sometimes you have to ask for that mercy and have the courage to do so. And what he has done tonight, to me, resembles that. I ask that we reduce this to whatever the administration fees are tonight.
Okay, so the motion is to reduce the fine to administration fees only.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
$990.36. $990.36.
Okay. So there's a motion and a second. Motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion? I think. Would you like to add anything, Mr. Johnson?
I know how hard it is to renovate something, and how long it takes to do it after somebody else destroys it all up. It cost me like $1 million to do it, but I got it done. It takes a long time, and Brian pushed me, but he cut me a lot of slack too, I believe, so I can't really complain. And it really needed to be fixed up, just like his needed to be fixed up, and now it's in compliance, so what do we have to lose? That's why I was second the motion. I believe we should be fair to him and have compassion on him.
Okay.
I do not believe that the administration costs reflect the time the city has spent on this over the last 4.5 years. And it is also a revenue-producing property. It is not a single homeowner. That's it.
That's it. Well, to be honest with you, I'm the numbers guy up here, and I fully came prepared to recommend 10%. That's our standard. We have to have standards, and several people have said fair. Is it fair for one person to get 10%, one person to get 2%? One person to get 0%? And it's easy to sit in a vacuum and read it on your iPad and say 10% is what I'm gonna do. But to see a young man come up and get emotional and have the courage to come before us is a difficult thing to do. I've never met the young man before. You did a really good job explaining yourself, but my concern is the length of time from the violation, because by the time you get to special master, you've gotten a warning, a citation, a deadline for compliance, then you go to special master, and the special master gives you a deadline before fines begin to impose. That's my problem. The problem isn't that we're going back in time 4 years and we're now looking people, they're real people, they're not just numbers on an agenda. And it's easy to just say, okay, wipe it out. Administrative fees only. We've always said our goal is to come into compliance. But if we waver too much from our standard, then no one will come into compliance and everyone will expect forgiveness for everything.
Yeah.
Code enforcement has very little teeth. If this was a homesteaded is this a homesteaded property, Brian? If this was a homesteaded property, we wouldn't even be here because the liens don't affect them. It is homesteaded? You know, so we could slap a $500,000 lien on your property and you file bankruptcy and we never get paid anything. But I think going to 0 is too far. There has to be some punishment, and the applicant asked for 2.5. I heard a motion for 5 and heard crickets. I heard a motion for 0 and we got a second. But I think you're gonna have, we have a split commission here tonight. We have a 2-2 commission. And if we take action on this and we vote 2-2, and I think you got 2 noes on this side and 2 yeses on this side, reading the tea leaves, it fails. So we have to come up with some compromise. It's going to be a 3-1 or a 4-0, because a 2-2 fails, and that means the lien stays at $504,000 and he can't come back. So I don't know, I'm trying to, you know, split the baby here and have everyone have a little discomfort, but not swing one way or the other, because if we swing one way or the other, I think the applicant's surely going to lose on this situation. And I would hate to see a $500,000 lien on a $250,000 property. I don't know if it's best to have him go back to the special master. Maybe that buys him time. I don't know, but I'm not comfortable going to 0 because of the precedent it sets. I do understand what Mr. Wabi said, that some of our departments are difficult to deal with. We need customer service training in every position in this city that talks to a human being. If you sit in a cubicle and count beans, whatever, I don't care who you are. But as
If
a, yeah.
If I withdraw my second, what amount would you settle for and say you would go along with?
2.5 is what he asked for. 2.5 is what he asked for.
I'll withdraw my second. So that is no second.
So now there's no second.
No second, so that means the motion.
So that means the motion fails for lack of second.
So now we need to go for another motion.
So let's do this before I entertain another motion. We're going way off script here, guys. Let's bring the applicant up and see if he wants us to take action on this tonight or if he wants to try to go back to the special master. Because if we take action on it, we have limited his ability to go back to the special master.
Right.
So would you prefer us take action on this tonight and take a vote with finality tonight, or would you like to try to go back to the special master?
I guess it ultimately depends on,
He's got to know what that number is.
Right, what I hear, what I believe is gonna happen tonight, as I believe Mr. Johnson's gonna make a motion for 2.5. If I had to bet, I bet Commissioner Snow is gonna second that motion.
Yeah.
I'd bet there's gonna be a vote, and it's gonna be 3-1, and you're gonna be committed to 2.5%.
5% is like 52,000, 2.5.
No.
No,
Let me give you some better information like that. So 10% was 52,000, 5% was 27,000, and 2.5% is approximately 14,000. So even in doing, I wouldn't even do terms of percentages, because then I would have to do the math to make it fit. I would
Pick a
just do a
number.
dollar amount.
right. And then, once we make I'm reading the tea leaves, they can tell you how they're gonna vote, and then they can change their minds if they actually vote. But I would say that your best bet tonight is that $14,000 number, and you're probably gonna be given 60 days to pay it, or the fine goes back to 500.
30 days.
30 days. Do you have the ability to pay the fine within 30 days?
And the other thing I'll mention to the sitting commission is this is an opportunity to resolve the case in a better favor of Mr. Magnano, who did do a good presentation, but I agree with the mayor. Everybody's got to be responsible to some degree. It shouldn't have gone on for 4 years. That if we had 5 commissioners here, I think Mr. Magnano would suffer a much higher consequence.
I think if we had 5 here, it would be at 10.
So my recommendation is to make a fair decision, make it tonight, because I think if it comes back at a later date, it will be worse for him.
Okay. Hadn't thought of that. So what would you like us to do? It's your decision. What Mr. Forte is telling you is that he believes if you go to the special master and get no reduction from there, and you come back to us, he believes that you will pay more than the $14,000. Would you like to agree to that amount? If you say you agree to the 14,000, then you're probably going to get a 4-0 vote here. If you agree to that, then it ends tonight. You have 30 days to come up with the $14,000.
And I would just like to throw
Yes,
in that I don't think you're reading the tea leaves correctly.
Yeah?
Because I don't want to set a precedent at that amount. I do not. I don't ever want anybody to come here after this and say, you did that. And that's why I say 5%.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's even, I don't want to hear anybody come in ever again and ask for 5%. But I do think compromise is a good thing.
And precedent, I understand your position on precedent. It's just, if it hadn't taken so long, we wouldn't even be here.
That's right.
$500,000 in 4 years, because the reason I'm showing compassion is because from what I'm hearing you say, that most of the fines were interior. Was the fire safety walls interior that had to be done, correct?
The main thing was the deck. I haven't noticed a violation. I mean, I'd be happy to.
Right, but you said the deck was taken care of in 6 months. If the deck had been in deplorable condition for 4 years, I would be much less compassionate to you.
The deck was replaced in very early
Right,
2022. The handrail that was put on was wood. I never heard this from the city. Honestly, the first time I heard this was actually yesterday. I met with the city, and I appreciate them taking the time to meet with me. But the deck was replaced in early 2022. And it was just never closed out. About 5 of the violations, like 5 of the 7 violations were related to the deck. But they weren't closed out. One was related to roof flashing, which was resolved right around the special magistrate hearing. And then I believe there was, I think like the last one would be an unsafe structure probably relating to firewalls. And we did add some, I think.
Okay, so I've read the tea leaves wrong, according to Commissioner Snow. So I'm just trying to talk out loud and not make an ultimate decision that does more harm than good. Because if we take a vote, from what I'm thinking now, if we make a vote on 2.5, Commissioner Johnson's going to approve it. I'm going to approve it. Commissioner Snow's going to vote no because she wants 5%. Commissioner Delanoy is going to vote no because he wants 0%. If that happens, you get no relief at all tonight. How are you feeling about this, Jeff? Are you okay with the 2.5, or you still want the 0?
Are you okay with the 2.5?
What I originally wrote on my paper was 2% amounts to around 1,100% of the city's costs. I feel that would be a reasonable compromise, and I would very much
Ryan?
appreciate if that was.
Take the 14,000. Take the 14,000.
Yeah.
If you're,
Agree to the 14,000.
let's do a Shark Tank thing here. If you're wanting 2 and we're giving you 2.5, don't argue over 0.5% of nothing.
Take the 14,000.
Can you pay that in 30 days?
It's better than not having a.
Can you pay it?
Our figure out a way.
Okay, so, thank you. Any more questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you. Okay, so I have stopped making notes and I've gotten sideways, Val. I don't think there's a motion on the floor at the present time.
I would agree to that. I agree to that.
14? Okay, thank you. Okay, so would someone like to make a motion of any kind?
I'll make a motion to do it.
No, just, let's pick a $14,000 number. If that's the 2.5.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to do 14.
Now, the only person that's going to second this is Mr. Delanoy, because Ms. Snow has already told us she's not going to say yes. But you could still make a motion and vote no against it. But it can't be voted on unless someone makes a second to go for the $14,000. And I'm going to wait until
I
it's...
second it.
Okay, thank you.
I don't agree with it. I second it.
So I have a motion and a second. So you can always make a motion and not support the motion. You can always vote against the motion that you supported. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion needed amongst the commission? No. Okay, so,
Wait, I'm sorry. I do have to say this again. 4.5 years of dealing with this, staff involved. I mean, it's just out of my understanding when you say it's $1,000 administration fee. I didn't know it reflects
right.
the costs that have gone on.
But the 14,000 certainly covers it,
Yeah.
right? So, and I could follow right behind you, but I'm trying to get this resolved tonight and get an ounce of flesh instead of a pound of flesh. Any further discussion needed?
No.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second of $14,000 payable within 30 days. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. I didn't hear anyone but myself and Mr. Johnson. Let's do a roll call vote, Val, please.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Yes? Okay. Commissioner Delanoy?
Aye.
Commissioner Snow?
No.
Mayor Penny?
Yes. Passes 3-1.
Passes 3-1.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we're going to move on to communications from our city manager.
I have nothing further tonight.
You've had enough.
Learning opportunity.
Okay, just a couple things. The August 12th meeting, which is our next meeting, I will not be here. Hopefully Vice Mayor Johnson will be able to run the meeting. You remember how to do it, right?
I'm gonna try to slide through it and watch you.
Okay. In And September 13th is the mayor's annual golf tournament, which is a fundraiser for our Holly Hill Police Foundation. It's also going to support Dolly Parton Imagination Library and the Seabreeze Kiwanis Club. So if you'd like, costs have gone up. It was just under $400 last year. Costs went up a little bit, so we made the fee $417 because that's our mile marker, 417. It's a weird number if you try to divide it by 4 guys, but it'll be a shotgun start at 8 o'clock. If you're interested in being a sponsor, a whole sponsor or participant, just come out and hang out. It'll be 8:30 September 13th. That's all I've got. Commissioner Delanoy?
I pray that we are never held against the fire. I've been held against the fire in my life, and I have total compassion for this man. I think that what we did tonight was the only reason why I voted the way I did tonight is because I asked if that's what he could afford, because I wouldn't have asked for none of that. I think that the administration fee would have been plenty enough for us. It's a unique situation. We study these situations every time one comes up on top of us. And we look at all the pros and cons of it, and we say, well, are they complying? Are they not complying? I mean, we had one a little while ago that the guy just didn't want to comply, and there was reasons for why we administered what we did. And I just don't agree. I voted yes because I just want his pain to stop. And that's why I asked him if he could afford it. But that's the only reason. Otherwise, I would have voted no. But pray you never are held against the fire, because it is a mentally hard thing to do. Luckily, the man's still here today. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
I don't believe in putting anybody in a financial bind myself, but he says he thinks he can afford the 14 million. Let's do it and get it behind us and not worry about it. We'll get him off the hook with the special masters.
That's right.
The only one I've ever seen win with the special masters was the pastor that put up such a big fight. So I think you're doing better for him, and that's why I made a motion to vote to do it. Because I think it's better. Although the city gains a little bit of money on it. And the only other thing I have is, I sure hope someday that we can concentrate on doing something good for LPGA, because LPGA is just, the businesses and the residents on LPGA have outgrown it. And I'm not talking
I'll
about
say.
Holly Hill either. It is really growing fast. They even putting a Bojangles on.
Panda Express.
And an ice cream place.
It's probably the fastest growing road that I can think of, besides maybe 98 around the Gulf Coast. And fastest growing road as far as the road is not growing, but the occupants around the road is growing. I mean, so sooner or later it's got to do something. And another thing is too, if the vote goes wrong or goes a certain way in New York for the mayor, I got a feeling Florida's going to get really, really flooded with a lot more people, so Florida's going to grow a lot faster. I mean, watch that pretty closely.
As long as they don't bring their politics with them.
Yeah. Well, they'll be getting away from this politics, that's for sure.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Snow?
I went to my 50th high school reunion this past weekend in Homewood, Alabama. And I got to tell you 2 things. The first is 17% of 221 people are gone. So the people that were there were so thankful just to be there. Be thankful every day. And I think the other thing that I came back with was a new Roll Tide hat. And I would just like to say, we have not walked in each other's shoes So to assume that we haven't all been put to the fire is a wrong assumption. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd just like to say, I'm proud of this commission.
Me too.
The votes don't always go the way we want them to go. Sometimes it's 4-1, sometimes you're the 1-4. But I do believe this commission showed empathy tonight and tried to be as fair as possible and hold people accountable still. There are actions for our actions. And so I came off of a lot, and the applicant came off of his a lot. And so I think we made the best decision we could for anyone tonight. Rather than let's have some finality to this thing. It's $14,000, which is a lot of money, don't get me wrong. But it's $14,000 amortized over 4 years, which is like a cup of coffee a day. The key is compliance, stay in compliance. Communication with the city, what I heard there was a lot of misunderstandings, whether it was on our part or the applicant's part. I think we as a city could do better communicating with our citizens and with our businesses. As a business owner, Mr. Wabi said his frustrations as a business owner. I've recently encountered some frustrations with forward-facing employees. And I hear complaints about citizens. Oh no, when I go in there, everyone's so nice. And then to experience it yourself, you have a different perspective. And I think we can do better. I think all of our departments can do better. I could do better. I could be nicer. I could be more open-minded. But anyhow, get off my soapbox. We'll stand adjourned.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thursday evening, is it for the League of Cities?
Dinner.
Is
Yeah.
anyone going besides me?
I'm out of town.
You're out of town. Oh, you're going, that's right.
Yeah.
When you're coming back,
Going for a short one and coming back and for.
you're gone, right?
I am not going. This is the first one on
You wanna
this.
ride? You wanna ride over together?
I'm riding with another Rolls High guy.
Jim Cameron.
Yeah.
I don't think we should ride together anyway.
Don't talk city business.
You can always ride together, just don't talk about anything that comes here. All right, we'll go ahead and stand adjourned. Thank you.